What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Hard Angle Barn YouTube channel. Today we are in Cheyenne's G. It has been cutting its front tires on the inner edges, which tells me it has a bad alignment. So I bought myself, since today is my birthday, today June 26th, the day I'm filming this, bought myself a Quick Trick alignment kit, and I bought myself a bubble balancer since I have the tire machine. It only makes sense for me to be able to balance tires after I mount them. So the tires that are on this car right now are non-directional, so the two fronts, I'm going to pull off the tires, flip them to get that worn outer edge, or sorry, the worn inner edge onto the outer edge where it's not going to get touched, because this car does have a little bit of camber, and make sure the alignment's, you know, where it should be so that it's not cutting tires in the first place. So let's go over to the barn, get this thing up in the air. I'm going to go ahead and snag these ramps from the truck. So since the G has two-piece lug nuts, I threw together this little board real quick. That way when I take the thing that makes the lug nuts pretty off the cover, I'm going to stick it there, and then the lug nut I put there. And then they don't fall all over the place, because they can just sit on this thing, and if I knock it over, they're still on it. So here we go. This is the inside of the tires, and you can see how they're worn out, and you know, over here it's nice and thick. And if you look at the shape of the tire, it doesn't have an even camber wear. It tapers off, which means that's a toe problem. So it needs an alignment. I'm going to stick this side, you know, out here on the outside, and go ahead and throw them back on, and then we will get it aligned. All right, so took the bead breaker attachment off. These are pretty stiff. But as you can see, if I put this down here, see how it's pulling up where the bolt attaches to this front leg? It's just, it's not really strong enough. So I'm going to take the bead breaker attachment off. This is exclusively going to be a tire machine with no bead breaker. And I'm going to go to Harbor Freight right now and go get a bead breaker that I will use exclusively. And this will just be a tire machine. So let's get in the car and go drive 30 minutes. Here it is. This is what I need. Well, bead breaker's kind of useless. I can't exactly recommend this. It's kind of like way too small to actually do car tires, unless you have, you know, like a 160 profile spare you're trying to pop. This is only a 245. It's not that wide. Still don't have that bead off. So I think I'm gonna put the bead breaker back on this because it was the most effective, and weld some bracing in here so it stops bending. Alright, well, I wasted 50 bucks. I just spent an hour with this thing trying to pop this bead, thinking it'd be easier because this thing's too bendy. Just took some spare 2x4s, braced it against the door because that's bolted into the floor, so it's going to be sturdy, and it was super quick. And I didn't film this thing. I'd be fighting with it for another hour. 10 seconds, pop the bead off. Sometimes, man, I knew I should have just tried to brace it before I got that. What a waste. That's how I feel about that. So after a lot of fighting with the tire and having Cheyenne come out and help me, I did get this one tire turned. It wasn't really super hard to get it on once I realized that the top bead, when I was putting the tire on, it wasn't getting below the bead into the drop center. I pushed it down, popped it right on, no big deal. But I couldn't get this tire. This one fought me too, but this one would not let go. I can't pop the bead. I can't break the bead, I should say. So I got one flipped, but it's supposed to rain in a couple hours, so I'm going to focus on primarily doing the alignment since the car is sitting outside. The alignment's what's most important. That's what's making it wear the tires. So I'm going to go back here and get my Quick Trick alignment tool, do the alignment with the tires on, and then, as you can see, I've ground off the powder coat here. I'm going to weld this seam from here to here. because the since it's bolted in one spot, it's pulling the metal up because it's thin. So if I weld this whole thing all the way around, it's gonna be a little bit stronger. And then I can weld some bracing in back here to get this thing to stop flexing. And then if the weather's still good, I'll flip that tire. All right, so I'm checking the alignment. I got the steering wheel perfectly straight. This wheel looks like it's pretty straight. This one looks like it's tilted into the body a little bit. So I'm gonna adjust this tie rod. Now we never aligned this, so I haven't messed with it. I've done all the alignments on my cars, and actually I haven't done it on this one, but I did on that one. I got that one pretty bang on. I did like 40,000 miles on a set of used tires, and they wore perfect. I did it on the silver spec by eye, just like I did on the white one, and that car is killing tires, so it needs an alignment. This one has never been aligned, but it has been lowered a lot, so it has 1.4 centimeters of toe out. But I'm going to adjust this one. I need to get 1.4 centimeters out of it. I'll probably take about half that out of here, check how everything sits, and go from there, see which, if I'm going to pull some out of here, pull some out of there, what I'm going to do. But I'm going to go ahead and fix that, and I want to give it about 1 or 2 centimeters of toe in, or not centimeters, 1 to 2 millimeters of toe in. That's about a 1/16 of an inch. And then this thing will be good, and it'll stop wearing tires. But like I said, I want to get this good outside edge on the inside like this one has. I mean, it makes it look like it's bald, but that also means, you know, you have good contact patch on the road because it has just a little bit of negative camber. We have 187 centimeters and about 6 millimeters. And over here we have 187 centimeters and about 7. So yeah, we got about a millimeter of toe in, which is perfect. Perfect. So that's how we're gonna run it. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten down all the tie rods. And that storm is moving in, so perfect timing. See, the door just slammed shut because all the wind in it scared the crap out of me. So I just want to point out, around corners, this thing feels so much more controllable. Like it just does what I expect it to now. Whereas before it was pretty darty. I mean, it was pretty darty. It felt sketchy. It wasn't like uncontrollably darty, but when you would first hit the steering, I mean, it would dart. Now it's smooth. It feels like it rolls better. And it just tracks straight, and it doesn't do anything I don't think it's gonna do. So that is a big up for the Quick Trick alignment tool. That is fantastic. That was so worth the money. All right, so it's a new day, and oh man, birds crapping on the cars. This is what happens when you live in the woods. Anyway, I get this tire changed. Like I said, it'll look like it's bald from the outside, but you actually have very good tread left. And because it's got a little bit of negative camber, that's where the tread matters, is on the inside, although the outside still touches. This tire still needs flipped, but first I gotta get the tire changer and the welder in the dune buggy so I can get it over to the house where I have adequate power to run the welder and get this thing all stiffened up, because right now it is way too bendy to finish off that other tire. The bead breaker, it puts so much force on it this way, it just folds like a taco. Well, here we are at the house, so I can use its power. All right, let's get this thing welded up to the best of my mediocre MIG welding abilities.
Just calling to say I
All right, well, this thing's all welded up, and I'll be the first to admit it's not the prettiest, but you can see I got decent penetration, but that also means I need to paint it from the bottom so this doesn't just rust away in the future. Let me get this powder coating off. So the washers seemingly are welded in too, so I'm just going to leave those there. But I'm going to throw a coat of paint on the bottom, put them on sawhorses, then I'll let you check out my mediocre welds. All right, so this section wasn't great, but you know, less gob welds there, but it's at least kind of strong. This one wasn't that great either. Not great, but half decent. And then just, you know, not great, but it'll be much stronger. And that's what I was going for. That's smooth enough. We're not trying to make a show tire machine. For some reason I couldn't say tire machine. Alright, now that it's all welded up and painted, I got it bolted back down, and this thing is so much more solid than it was before. I mean, it used to just rock by just like touching it, so nice and rigid. I'm not going to be bending that using the bead breaker. I still want to weld in some more bracing, but I haven't really figured out the best way to do it because of the wood blocks that help disperse. These actually help keep it a lot stiffer too, because you're not bolting it down on one tiny little spot with a washer. This spreads it out over, you know, the whole leg. But I think for now it'll work. If it keeps bending, I'll weld in some bracing. But for now, I think this is going to do the job. So I have already gotten the other tire on the G switched. So just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to use one of the 18s that came off the car when we got it. Now these are the same size, the same profile, the same everything, with just a different wheel. So for demonstration purposes, this will all be the same. So as you can see, I also took the bead breaker, like the head, off of the bead breaker that I broke, because this head actually seems to be more effective. So partnered with Tire Machine. It's actually a very nice package. And you can see with the welding, the machine's not really bending. So to help break it loose, let's get a little soapy water in there. I think I need to drill some holes lower and lower for thicker, wider tires. But for this profile, this will work for now. There we go, there's the top bead. Now I just gotta kind of walk it around. Pop it off the rest of the way, which you can usually do with your foot. Although, I do remember these helo wheels being especially difficult to get off. So you just turn it a little bit, get back on it. And like I said, this wider head works so much better than the little thin one. All right, one more. And I think that's all of it. Now let me try to flip it over and do the rest. The back bead always fights the most for some reason. I don't know why. See if it puts up a fight. Work that soapy water in a little bit. just like that. It's off all the way around, and that would be ready to go on the tire machine. Now, I have no reason to pull this tire off, so I'm just going to go put some air in it, pop it back on the bead. But I just want to demonstrate that with this head and welding the base together, this thing has improved even farther. It improved ever since I put the duck bill on it. It improved after I learned how to use it properly, and it's further improved now that I've welded it and changed the bead breaker. Anyway, I got a nice unit here. I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here. I don't have much else to really say or do, so I hope you enjoyed. I hope to see you all in the next video, and I'll talk to y'all later.
I'm just calling to say I